Alrighty, we have another thing to look at, and this one's a little spooky. It's how Trump is trying to treat whistleblowers in the federal government right now. Or rather, how Trump is trying to treat the head of the whistleblower organization protection. So, let's quickly get into fan art, and then we'll get into that. So the first piece of fan art we have today, or the only piece we have today, is from Firewall. Said, I finally finished her. To be honest, I'm really happy how she eventually came out. I was really scared for a bit. Here's a Suris pack person. Politics were always somewhat a severe part of my life, as parents talked a lot about it, and my mom got into being an activist and working in politics, so I've always had a soft spot for politics VTubers, especially ones who have their personas as something that's adorable, or something this adorable. Thank you for all you've done. I'm honored that I got to draw you as a species that I hope makes you smile. Waka waka. The pack person battle cry, not the song. Well, thank you very much, Firewall. I appreciate it. It is an adorable rendition of my avatar, and I appreciate it greatly. As always, thank you all for your fan art submissions when you guys drop them in. I appreciate each and every one of you, and if you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. With that said, let's go ahead and get into today's topic here. The Trump administration wants the Supreme Court to let the firing of the whistleblower agency head proceed. Terran Ambassador, thank you for redeeming your points for an OO. I don't know if I missed that when it happened. Also, Transgal Brooklyn, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it as well. So, real quick, there's a reason I'm covering this. Not only is it spooky, but remember, I've received several emails from a whistleblower in the United States federal government for several videos. So the actual safety of that person being up in jeopardy is something that matters to me. So now we got to talk about this here. So the Trump administration wants the Supreme Court to permit the firing of the head of the federal agency that is dedicated to protecting whistleblowers. According to the documents obtained Sunday, that would mark the first appeal to the justices since Trump took office. The emergency appeal is at the start of what probably will be a steady stream from lawyers for the Republican president and his administration seeking to undo lower court rulings that have slowed his second-term agenda. So, real quick, why would you want to take away the position of somebody whose job it is to protect whistleblowers? The only reason you do that I can see, is if you are trying to protect billionaires and other businessmen who are engaging in practices that whistleblowers are blowing the lid on in the first place. Depraved Ambient says, truth does not fear examination. This is how you know that they are lying. Yeah. If a whistleblower blowing the lid on what you've been doing will ruin everything for you, then maybe you shouldn't be doing that thing in the first place. The Justice Department's filings obtained by the Associated Press asks the conservative majority court to lift a judge's order temporarily reinstating Hampton Dellinger as the leader of the Office of Special Counsel. Dellinger has argued that the law says he can only be dismissed for problems with the performance of his job, none of which were cited in the email dismissing him. The petition came hours after a divided appeals court panel refused on procedural grounds to lift the order, which was filed Wednesday and expires on February 26th. The case is not expected to be docketed until the Supreme Court returns from the President's Day holiday weekend. The justices will not act until Tuesday at the earliest. It's not clear what reception that Trump will get from the conservative-dominated court. He'll probably get them to say yes, honestly, which includes 3 justices he nominated in his first term. The case began last week when Dellinger sued over his removal as head of the Office of Special Counsel, which is responsible for guarding the federal workforce from illegal personnel actions, such as retaliation for whistleblowing. He was appointed by Democratic President Joe Biden and confirmed by the Senate to a 5-year term in 2024. Okay, so he's literally only going to have his term for the amount of time that Trump is in office. So Trump wants him gone so that he can't fuck with everything he does, screwing over the federal government while he's in option while he's in office. Great. Great, great, great. That is fantastic. That's exactly what I want to see. That's everything that makes my life fantastic all at once. I'm so happy to know. I am so happy and honestly thrilled to know that Trump is so scared of whistleblowers that he is trying to fire the people who are protecting them in the first place. That's great. That's fantastic. That's honestly, this is bad news, but this is good news. This is bad news because he's doing it, but it's good news because it means he's scared. You do not take actions like this unless you are scared of whistleblowers. You do not strip the rights away from people unless you are scared that those people are going to do something with their rights. Sakura says it's probably Musk who's more afraid of whistleblowers. I think it's both. Obviously, Musk is afraid of whistleblowers because of the various shit he's gotten himself into, where he's basically violated people's human rights in trying to do all of his wacky, shitty experiments. But Trump definitely needs whistleblowers out of the way so that he can do everything that he can to screw up the U.S. government. Because, again, the plan seems to be fuck up the United States government enough that it almost collapses. And then you can get the tech billionaires in to rebuild something in its place. If the whistleblowers are there, they can blow the lid on those attempts early. They can showcase the multiple ways that this is happening to the public and get the public against people like Trump and Musk. And if the public's against them, we can strip all the power away from them from underneath by getting a new Congress under both of them. Dellinger said the office's work is needed now more than ever, noting the unprecedented number of firings without cause of federal employees with civil protections in the recent weeks by the Trump admin. The administration argues that the order reinstating Dellinger for 2 weeks strongly restricts what the president can do. The brief cites the Supreme Court's decision that gave Trump immunity from criminal prosecution and reflects a muscular view of executive power. Until now, as far as we are aware, no court in American history has wielded an injunction to force the president to retain an agency head, Acting Solicitor General Sarah M. Harris wrote. The brief references some of the dozens or more cases where judges have slowed Trump's agenda, including by ordering the temporary lifting of a foreign aid funding freeze and blocking workers with Elon Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency from accessing the Treasury Department data for now. This is one of the reasons I said it was so important to gum up the federal government, because it's working. You don't make moves like this unless gumming up the federal government in bureaucratic bullshit to stop Trump's agenda isn't working. Depraved Ambient says no tyrant survives indefinitely. You know what that makes me think of? I'm not even gonna lie. If you're gonna say no tyrant rules indefinitely, all I can hear is this.
Is it over? At long last. No king rules forever, my son.
That's all I hear. That's all I hear. No tyrant rules forever. No king rules forever, my son. That's all I can hear. Transgal Brooklyn says the two idiots are asking for so many wars. They are certainly trying. They are certainly trying. Six Emperor Tyrannus, can tyranny end with Luigi? I don't know. The superstar of the Mario video games certainly has taken down his set of tyrants in the past. He has fought such tyrants as King Boo and an undead reanimated Bowser in the hit game Luigi's Mansion. He's also handled reanimated corpses and apparitions of the dead en masse. He's also a talented, and I mean talented, tennis player, a combat specialist, great jumper, super good at soccer, and also golf. All things considered, I would say that Luigi can solve many problems right now, given the breadth of his skill set. Especially the amount of circuits he has managed to win in the hit, not game, certainly, never a video game, Mario Kart. Also, notably, apparently he owns Luigi Raceway. So, like, obviously he's successful. Perhaps we should wish the Luigis of the world more success in the future. You know. And surprisingly, Luigi is able to win by doing nothing in some circumstances. I don't even know how he does it, man. I don't even know how he does it. But a couple of blue shells for those in first certainly could be great. Anyway, the brief references some of the dozen or more cases where judges have slowed Trump's agenda. The executive branch has argued since the Carter administration that the Office of Special Counsel is the kind of job where the president should have the power to hire and fire. And letting the order in Dillinger's case stand could embolden judges to issue additional blocks in the roughly 70 lawsuits the Trump administration is facing so far. Yeah, that's almost like that's the fucking point. That's almost like that's the point. Yes, emboldening judges to use their power in the judicial branch against the executive branch as a proper checks and balance is certainly, yes, one of the things they are supposed to be able to do. This is good news. This is Trump being scared. Dillinger's firing was the latest move in Trump's sweeping effort to shrink and reshape the federal government, testing the limits of well-established civil service protections by moving to dismantle federal agencies and push out staffers. He's not actually shrinking the federal government. Let's make that 100% clear. That's not what he's doing. Because for every single person in a position that he is removing, he's putting a Trump loyalist in the front, which Project 2025 literally noted he was going to be doing. The Independent Office of Special Counsel is separate from the Justice Department. Special counsels such as Jack Smith, who are appointed by the Attorney General for specific investigations, such as Smith's criminal investigation of Trump before he returned to the White House. Yet Trump doesn't like being investigated. He's spooked out. I don't even have to include a what do we do about this here, because again, this is literally just good news. It's bad news that Trump is trying to get rid of the person who is in charge of protecting whistleblowers. That is bad. But it is good because what it reflects is his fear. It reflects how he is having to navigate the gummed up federal system. It reflects that things are working in our favor in the federal government, as several federal employees have chosen to maintain their positions and hold the line. About 8% of federal employees took the buyout and left the federal government. That leaves plenty of people who are able to gum up the workplace and make sure that these next 4 years for Trump, every single battle he is able to win, he has to fight for so long and so hard that the battle may last until even after his fucking presidency. I'm going to be honest. This is fantastic news. It's spooky, it's scary, but it is a sign of how terrified someone like Trump and Musk have to be about us. Because ultimately, whistleblower protections are there to protect you and me. They are there to protect the people in the federal government who stayed, the 92% of employees who stayed instead of getting replaced by Trump loyalists. You do not remove the shield from those people unless you are so terribly afraid of those people and what lies behind that shield. This is great. As long as he doesn't win on this particular count, or as long as his victory on this particular count takes so long that he is not able to execute anything meaningful with it, this is a win. Because this shows that the strategy of gumming up the federal agencies works. That said, let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. And just so you guys know, there are lots of ways you can support the channel if you haven't already. You could subscribe over on Twitch. I would greatly appreciate that. You can definitely support by going in the description and grabbing one of the channel playmats. You can also go over to Patreon and support me there, where you get behind the scenes conversations about what's going on in my personal life. That all said, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And as always, everybody, insert in the video tagline here. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. I really could not do any of this without all of you. Those of you watching, and especially those of you who support me on Patreon. I wanted to go ahead and take a minute to thank all of you who do that, because with YouTube being what it is these days, I really cannot do this full time without the support from each and every one of you. Those people would be Red Joker, Purple Poundini, Jemshin, Britzkrieg, Jupe the Malignant, Michael, Ravalern, Mabbity Babbity, Astral Frontier, Tales of Atonement, Nixie Chan, Kiri Artemis, Victorian Alchemist, I'm not saying the last part of that, and you know that, Arcton Arclacier, Kiratorian, Dren Hadamata, Jordan M, John L, Lord Bleck, Smiling Game Master, and Fireshard. Thank you so very much. But since you're here, why not go ahead and try watching another one? There should be one that's on the screen right now. And if you are a patron of mine, I wanted to go ahead and thank you again for all of your support. There is still a video you could press though, if you'd like. I would appreciate it just a little bit.